Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're live now.
Oh, we are.
I'm
Okay.
gonna drop the Discord thing just to notify people that we're live. How's it going though, Devi? How you been doing lately?
I've been pretty good. Just I moved, so I'm getting settled in to my new place, and that's pretty much it. Um,
Yeah, I
oh
saw
yeah.
I saw you
What?
p- I saw you posting about that. What happened? Like you said the place got flooded or something?
Oh, well, when I first moved in, yeah. The next door, some one of their pipes or something burst, and then water got in here. So I was like really worried it was gonna be like a slum kind of place since we were already having problems the first day I moved in, or first couple days, but they fixed it pretty quick. Like it's already, they came in immediately and like took the carpet up and dried it and all that. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried. It seems like a nice place, so I'm
No, that's
relaxing.
good though. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It must have been a hassle though, because I think you said that you this is the second time you moved in a year, which is like,
Yeah, this
damn.
year. I know.
Uh,
It sucks. I've moved so much since I've moved to Louisiana. Like I feel like there's so many problems with every place I go. That's why I was really worried. I was like, please let this place like actually fix this right, cuz I have places like literally the ceiling was like caving in and they didn't want to fix it. It's like people are slumlords here, so
is that why
but
you
it's
had
going.
to? Is that why you had to move from the like place before? Because it was in condition like that.
No, the last place I moved because I had moved in. Some friends asked if we would move in with them because they just bought a house and they
Okay,
wanted help paying the mortgage. But then when I got there, they pretty much expected me to pay like half of the mortgage and stay in my room. So it was like, no, this is not gonna happen. So
that's yeah. No, fuck that.
yeah, yeah, really. So
Yeah,
that's why I left.
that's some bullshit. 100%. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I had my stuff in the storage in the backyard and in the attic. I'm like, what the hell? No. So you can have your action figures out in the living room. Like literally, that was why.
That's just absurd. Yeah. No, it's good that you got out of that situation because that seems like
Uh-huh.
that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. So, yep. What about you? How have you been? What have you
I've
been
been
up
doing
to?
okay. Lately, it's been interesting. I quit my job. I was working in a dispensary. Because I was just kind of done with working in that place. I don't want to get into it because I've talked about it like on my streams before, but like it was
Uh-huh.
just so just poorly managed, and it was one of those situations where you're kind of like strung along and you're like told that you're going to be, oh yeah, you're going to be like accommodated, you're going to get like this position and this and that, we're going to like
Yeah.
pay you more, but then it never materializes, but they still give
Yeah,
you
that
like the
sucks.
duties of somebody who's like a supervisor, like a key holder or whatever, and it's
They
like,
just don't pay you for it.
yeah, exactly, they give you like
Yeah,
all
that's
those
screwed up.
duties. It's actually funny, I interviewed at this other dispensary like maybe a week ago, not even, and I was telling them all the stuff I was doing. It's like, yeah, I got experience doing this and this and this in my previous place, and they were like, "Holy shit!" Because they were talking about like inventory, for example, at this place. They were like, "Yeah, we do inventory once a month." My previous
Uh-huh.
place, I had to do the inventory myself 5 times a month, and it was
Uh,
like, oh my god,
you were already doing like a manager's job
yeah,
for
pretty much,
regular
yeah,
pay. Yeah, that sucks.
yeah. And then they gave me a raise at one point, but the minimum wage where I live went up anyways. So it was one of those things where it's kind of
Oh,
like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, oh my god. And the one thing that was kind of cool, but like still it doesn't outweigh the other like negative shit was they gave me a $200 Amazon gift card. So I just got like some headphones and stuff with it. I'm like, yeah, fuck that, man.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
100%.
they're just trying to appease you, but
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazon card's
100%.
always nice though. Yeah.
That Amazon gift card. It's like I've heard people talking about they see in their area or they know somebody who has like somebody in their family who's younger. they go to apply for
Mhm.
like McDonald's or something, and I've heard that like
Mhm.
in some places in the states at like places like McDonald's or whatever, they'll offer their new applicants like an iPhone if they get the job. And
Oh,
it's like
that's
so
funny.
fucking weird. Like, what
Yeah.
is this?
I know. Well, yeah, places are desperate right now to hire, so they're giving like sign-on bonuses and stuff. But a iPhone, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Mhm.
I didn't really have any like I'm kind of doing this new show. I'm kind of like reformatting some of the streams I used to do before cuz I've kind of like upped I don't know if I'd say production values, but just the way I kind of do my streams. I'm kind of like
Mhm.
trying to upgrade the quality of it, quality of the content, and get more guests on and stuff. But I did have some topics of conversation because usually when I do streams like this, I like to have
Mhm.
people on and not necessarily do like an interview because I wouldn't consider myself like an interviewer, but I like to just have people on and like chat about stuff. But I've just realized something lately with online creators, and I don't know if you feel the
Okay.
same, but it's this thing where me personally, I don't feel like I'm in the majority when it comes to these particular opinions here, but like obviously I make content that goes on OnlyFans, but I don't I really don't like OnlyFans user interface. It's not very
Uh,
intuitive. It can be so
yeah.
frustrating to use, and I feel that way about quite a few websites like YouTube like that as a creator. It can be really frustrating using it, and even Spotify. Like, I personally really don't like Spotify. I would never use
I
Spotify to
quit
listen to
using
music.
Spotify.
Sorry, you quit using Spotify?
Yeah, I did.
What made you want to quit using it?
Um, well, okay, I wasn't sure about all the Joe Rogan controversy and like
Yeah.
him spreading misinformation. That kind of turned me off to it. But then, oh yeah, the main thing was that the CEO started investing in like weapons manufacturing or something like that recently.
What the
He
fuck?
started donating a lot, yeah, or not donating, but investing in. So after that, then I was like, okay, yeah, I don't really want my money going towards that, and I started using Tidal because they're one of the there's like a couple streaming services that they are like the top. Sorry, I'm like
It's
all
okay.
mixed up. Okay, so they paid out their artists the most money out of like
Yeah, I
most
had a
of the
feeling you
streaming
were gonna say that. Yeah, I'm
places.
familiar
Yeah,
with.
I was
Yeah,
trying to get that out. So yeah, that's why, because they actually pay the artists better than a lot of the other ones,
yeah.
and it's just as good, like if not better. Really, I like all the recommendations they give me, and I found a lot of cool new music that I'm enjoying with it. So I totally recommend people switching.
Hell yeah! You can
Oh,
actually listen. You can actually listen to a decent amount of my music on Title.
really?
It's
Cool. Okay.
pretty easy these days as like kind of an independent music creator, producer,
Uh-huh.
however you want to put it. Even if you're just somebody who's kind of making like I don't know, like a perfect example is somebody like Owl City. Maybe that's like a weird thing to bring up, but he was this one guy doing his own vocals and making stuff in like synthesizers and whatever. So these days, even if you have just a little bit of money, like we're
Mhm.
talking like less than $100, you can get your music out there and publish it.
Cool.
And if you want, you could just be like, no, I don't want to put my music on Spotify. But when you're trying to actually get your music out there and have it heard by as many people as possible, that's one thing that you hear constantly from people like, "Oh, can you put your music on Spotify? When's this coming to Spotify?" Because that's where so many people
Yeah.
are listening to music, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like the thrust of what I was kind of thinking about. It's frustrating how some of these kind of different fields online are almost monopolized, or there's like a duopoly
Mhm.
where you're almost
Yeah,
forced to use these services whether or not you like them as a creator. And it's a different experience
definitely.
using a system as a creator as opposed to a viewer of YouTube videos.
Mhm. Yeah, well, like you were saying, OnlyFans, you don't really like the interface on there.
It's
It's
really
not.
clunky.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. It doesn't really bother me though. The thing that I really don't like about OnlyFans though is that there's not a search function, or like it doesn't.
Yeah,
you can't browse. That's really what it is. There's a search function, but
Yeah.
not browse. Like to browse like categories for what you're into, so they don't help at all with getting your content out there. It's like completely on us to
Well,
advertise.
in my opinion, why I think they intentionally don't do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if that would be a benefit, because I think what OnlyFans is trying to do is simultaneously profit off all of the money coming in through, like the online sex
Oh
work, people
yeah.
doing,
Uh huh.
what OnlyFans is known for. And then like if you ever are on your dashboard or whatever and you're
Mm-hmm.
browsing through and you see like the posts from like OnlyFans that they post like for creators to see, they're always
Yeah.
promoting like I think we probably talked about this before, but it's always promoting like, oh, check out this girl who does like workout and smoothie videos and she has an
Yeah.
OnlyFans. It's
Cooking
like,
channels.
yeah, it's like that's not why people are coming to OnlyFans for. It's not
No.
what people are coming to OnlyFans for, but there's
Yeah.
this desire, obviously, from the company to be seen as like um something else. Like I feel like
Right.
they're not comfortable and they're not confident uh being a platform for sex workers,
Yeah.
and
Which I don't get.
I don't know if you've ever used Fansly, but Fansly is a site that has a lot of potential,
Huh.
and the problem is that like nobody's using it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
some
No,
people are
I
using
haven't used
it,
it
but
either.
it's mainly driven by larger creators who are kind of like
Oh.
driving their fans there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Trip to me in the chat says, "Yo, glad you guys are having a live convo. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Trip to me, you and me should definitely have a live conversation soon. You need to come on the stream, bro." But yeah, like I was saying, Fansly's really cool because they're very, very, very at least their PR, but that's what you see publicly. They're very like, hey, we're pro sex worker. Like we actively have a thing where we help people take down content if it's like your stuff that's
Oh
like
yeah.
taken and like put up by somebody else that's pirating it or like revenge porn or whatever. Like they have a really cool like company like face. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
OnlyFans is like you don't even know. Like they're to me they're like pretty nefarious. They're in a similar kind of
Hmm.
field as like Spotify maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Huh. What about Just for Fans? Have you used them before? What do you think of them?
I've heard of them, but I've personally never used them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Kind of
know.
how I am with Fansly. There's so many different places. I guess that's why it's hard. Because there's so many options. So it's like, who's gonna be the next
Yeah.
OnlyFans? Like, what's the next big one gonna be? It's hard
Well,
to
yeah, that's what I was
figure that
saying
out right
about
now.
that's what I was saying kind of about like the whole monopoly duopoly thing
Right.
because
Hmm.
it's like if you want to make let's say a podcast where it's mostly focused on like a video component, you basically have to do that on YouTube or
Yeah.
like somehow do it through some other site, which is like practically impossible.
Hmm.
There aren't really many alternatives. If you want to make like an audio podcast, like at this point, Spotify is becoming the place for that. There's some
Yeah.
other places where some other people are driving attention to, but a big thing these days is like bigger creators who are already established on somewhere like YouTube. They'll drive or like TikTok or whatever. They'll drive their fans to a specific website. So if they
Hmm.
don't want to use OnlyFans, if somebody already has like 500,000 followers on TikTok, they can easily have an OnlyFans that has like, or sorry, like a Fansly page that has like
Yeah.
tens of thousands of followers. Especially depending on the business model that you're working with. Like I just recently changed my business model with OnlyFans. I'm trying to figure out what to even do at this point because it's like trying to market myself and promote, but also like figuring out what is even going to work is like at the moment I'm kind of like what the fuck am I even doing? Because I had free subscription for a while with some paid posts, some free content, and then I
Huh.
switched it over to the paid subscription, and then a lot of people were like, "No, I don't want to pay for like the monthly thing," which is cool. You expect that, but
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
it literally just dropped, and then it was like completely dead, like no activity for a while. So then I turned back on free subscription, so people could like
Mhm.
subscribe to the page for free, but the posts were paid. You know, some stuff's free, some of it's
Yeah.
paid, and people seem to like that more, which is kind of like I don't know, it's strange.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never had a free page. I made one, but then I didn't actually like get it going. Um,
Yeah,
because right after that article had come out about me, I got a lot more fans, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna try the free page thing yet. But
yeah,
yeah, like why would I? But at some point, I don't know if that would end up like how that would work out for me, because yeah, like feel like I do. I know most people say they make most of their money off of the PPVs, but I feel like on OnlyFans, I have more uh, fans that just want to subscribe monthly than actually pay
yeah,
for each video. I have a few fans that like give a lot or tip a lot. Like I feel like
yeah,
that's kind of what I make most of the money from, really. So
yeah.
I don't know.
It's
It's just a process to try to figure out what works best for you.
yeah. I think it's like that for a lot of people. Usually, from my experience, especially, and I've talked to some people, there's always like a couple of different people that like will always tip you the most, or they'll always like
Yeah.
stick around, always subscribe, or even if you change your business model, like they're still around, like buying stuff or whatever. And that's what I've
Mhm.
noticed. Like a lot of, especially when you're a smaller creator, like a lot of your income is basically driven by like the people who are like actually paying attention. Because there's always
Right.
like transient people kind of like coming in and out.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially with I don't know. It's I've tried talking to people who don't like do this kind of stuff, and it's a weird thing to explain because from what I've seen at least, when you're a female creator, depending on how you do your content, a lot of
Mhm.
people like a lot of especially like lonely guys who are really into like doing the like OnlyFans shit. They're spending a lot of money on it. What they want is like that kind of like exclusive access to like this really hot girl or something. They want to be able to talk to her, request content.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how on the flip side I'm trying to like do that or not that, but something where it's like beyond just kind of being like a traditional kind of like place where you can buy scenes because like that's kind of how I've just been doing stuff for a while. Like I've been filming content, like putting it up, but it's more I film stuff in more of almost like a traditional sense, like you know, like just film like how like a studio would film something, but just in the most like basic way. Um, and it's interesting. A lot of
Yeah.
content on because like I'm not just on like the paid sites too. Like the stuff that's on a lot of the video sites. A lot of them get a bad rap, but Pornhub in particular is really interesting these days. There's a lot of amateur content that is like is and can be like really profitable, but
Mhm.
so much of it when I see it, just because of the way I am, I'm like, oh my god, this is like filmed on somebody's iPhone, and it's like so dark and grainy, and you can
Oh
barely
my
see anything. But a lot of
gosh.
people like that, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, I love like the low quality videos where it seems like so like you know like low key like you're going out for a sneaky link or something. I like I can kind of understand that, you know, like I can understand that, but like that's not what
That's
personally
not you.
yeah,
Yeah.
what I like is stuff that's like at least well lit, you know, the camera quality looks good. Like it doesn't have to be like some fucking like insane like high budget like Bang Bros or whatever. Like that's it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
that. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just cuz maybe it's just me just being into like film, cinema, just
Yeah.
being somebody who's photographed and filmed lots of different stuff for so
Mhm.
long. I'm like, no, it has to look like this isn't I'm like Stanley Kubrick out here. Like it has to look better. Like the lighting isn't good enough. Like we have to improve this. Like
Uh,
there's scenes that I've filmed that I think are like really good, but some of them have like differences in like lighting where like it kind of looks weird. I'm like, oh, I fucked up the lighting in the scene so much. It's like, dude, you're
yeah.
making. And some people I've literally heard some people say like it, like nobody cares, like you're making porn, but it's like you don't understand, man. You don't understand the
Yeah.
craft, like.
I know. I think that some of that stuff it is pretty important, like to a point, especially because I feel like people don't really notice when you do a good job at that kind of thing, but they
Yeah,
notice when you do a bad job.
yeah.
So as long as it's good enough, then yeah.
Well, that's like almost a kind of universal principle. It's
Yeah,
like
it really
if
is.
you're looking at I don't know, your messages on OnlyFans and you have like all these messages like, "Oh my god, you're so beautiful." Like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm talking to you." And it's like those kind of register. But if you have like one message out of like 20 that's like negative,
Mhm.
that's the one that's going to grab your attention. You're going to be like, "Oh fuck." It's going to
I
like that's the
know.
one you're going to be thinking about, like that fucking asshole, like that fucking person, like why'd they say that shit about me or whatever. Like if it's a negative thing, whatever it is, they're going to be it like that's going to stick in your head way more.
I know. I hate my brain. Like, why do we do this to ourselves? That's kind of how everybody is, though, too.
I feel like that's just the human condition, you know?
I know. Yeah.
Tryptamine says too much of a perfectionist. Yeah, like that's how I am. Like
Mhm.
I haven't put out any new music in if I don't put something out by August of this year, it'll be 2 years since I released any music publicly. And I've seen this with other kind of like independent, semi like underground musicians. Like if you don't know what they're doing personally, it's like, holy shit, this person hasn't put out music in like years. Like what's going on? And you have like all these ideas about it. But like more often than not, it's just like oh like don't worry, I've been working on music, but like I can't release anything. Like none of this is finished, and it
Oh,
just happens like that sometimes. It really
I had
does.
to. Oh, excuse. Sorry,
Bless you. No, it's okay.
sorry.
I'm actually gonna mute myself for a sec so I can blow my nose. But go ahead with what you're gonna say.
I haven't checked your stuff out yet. I really need to. But like, what uh kind of stuff do you make, and what do you use to make it with? Like, I know you do more electronic stuff, right?
Sorry, yeah, I had to blow my nose. I had to deal with that as well. It's that time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much make everything just with my computers. You know what I mean? I make electronic music. I make some hip hop. To just kind of like break it down to like one genre, but probably not like. I'll give you an example. I'm working on one album right now that's multiple different subgenres of electronic music, and that album's pretty much close to done. I have another album kind of project, and it's like 10 hip hop beats. They're all finished, but I don't know what I'm doing with it because I don't know if I'm going to get like a rapper on it or what. And that's
Oh.
like another kind of project. Um, and then I have like this other like LP that's just kind of like various tracks that I'm working on. I might put it into its own kind of like album or EP or something, or just release them as singles. And I'm working on like some other remixes for other people. Like if I had to say, I'd probably concurrently working on like 40, 45 different songs right now,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it just keeps piling up. You know what I mean? Because I keep starting new ones, and it's
Hmm.
like, oh fuck, I need to release something. You know,
Yeah.
but
Do you use?
that happens with a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure. What kind of software do you use?
Um, it's pretty cliche, but I use a software called the FL Studio. You might be familiar with it.
Okay.
A lot of
Yeah.
people use it.
Yeah.
Logan
I don't-
says Happy Easter. Thanks, man. Happy Easter to you.
Easter. Oh yeah, I forgot it was even Easter. I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't really.
doing anything.
Yeah, I don't do anything either. I don't really celebrate Easter.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me one of those like chocolate bunnies, and it had the most demented face on it. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Those
Pretty
things are kind of
creepy.
scary.
I just ate that shit. Oh man, there's something else I wanted to ask you. I can't remember. Um, uh, oh yeah. So, want to ask you because this is something that I find is interesting to talk about.
Hmm.
Um, with people. Maybe this is like a cliche thing to talk about when it comes to like the kind of work that we do. But what's your experience with how it's affected how people are with you like socially? Because I feel like a lot of people, and I know you're a bit older than me, but I feel like a lot of people in our kind of age range, like kind of like 20 to like 35, late 30s, even sometimes into like 40, 45, because there are a lot of people that are like in their early 40s who are still like very kind of like youthfully minded, I would say.
Right.
Because what
Uh-huh.
I've realized lately is there's like one group of people who kind of retain like that youthful kind of spirit and they don't become like a crusty boomer. And then there's like the other people who are just kind of like, they just become like super boomers. Like it's horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I found like most people who aren't like the crusty super boomer types, like they're chill about it. But
Yeah.
so many people I know, I've heard specific people say things like, like they wouldn't mind being friends with somebody who does like sex work. Like that doesn't bother them. But when it comes to like dating somebody, it's something that people I've it's like people will say like sometimes that they do have a problem with it. And that's like okay, like fair enough. But I've also
Yeah.
ran into this thing where people like sometimes people will be like act cool about it and sometimes they'll even act like enthusiastic about it. Like for
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
reason they're like really
It turns
interested
them
in it.
on kind of thing.
Well, there's some
Or
people who like are turned on by it, definitely, but there's also some people who don't think that they'll mind it as much as they end up minding it when it actually goes
oh,
down.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
I dated a girl in like about a year ago
Uh-huh.
for a couple months and we actually made content together. And I was
Mhm.
like managing her OnlyFans page for her and all this shit. And it was everything was going really well. But and like she knew like I made content with other people too, like other models that I work with. So I went to film this scene and for some reason after I filmed this scene, it was like a threesome scene with two other girls.
Mhm.
Afterwards, she was like when it actually went down and happened, then she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, it's actually happening," and she was kind of like, "Oh shit," you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it kind of like fucked her up a
Got
little bit.
jealous. Yeah.
And like I was cool about it. Like I was like, okay, like like let's try and figure out like what we're gonna do about this. But
Mhm.
we broke up not too long after that, and that's one example of what we mentioned. But on the
Mhm.
flip side, like what you mentioned too, there's a model that I work with. She's really cool, and we were filming this scene one time. It's like different scene, like totally different situation. And
Mhm.
she's like, "Oh yeah," she was telling me because we were. I don't know y- uh, if you've had this experience collabing with people where you've actually spent like a decent amount of time just like hanging out, because that's what I found like sometimes happens when you collab with people. Like you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and then you just end up like smoking weed or just like hanging out and chatting for a while, and you're like, okay, we're gonna do the shoot, and then like, you know what I mean? It just it's like a chill experience, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's like you'll be like chatting about shit. I always find that that shit ends up happening like the more and more I do this, especially because I'm such like a conversational person. Like I'll be
Mhm.
like, hold up, I'm gonna smoke some weed first, and then it turns into like hanging out for
Uh-huh.
like 2 hours before you guys actually film any content. But she's telling me like, yeah, it's really interesting. Like this guy that I'm dating right now, he's like really into the content that I make, and he's like he
Oh.
likes like watching it. I was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
interesting. She's telling me about
Yeah.
it. But then he starts like sending her snaps like while we're setting up to film this scene together. He's like, I'm actually like really I feel really weird about like the fact that you're filming this scene with this guy. And then he had like this
Oh.
really weird turn where he all of a sudden like didn't like it and like it
Yeah, that's
didn't want her to
weird.
do it, and she's kind of like, well, like I'm
Okay.
doing this, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
already happening. And I was just
Oh.
like, sorry, bro. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean? And they broke
awkward.
up after
Yeah.
that. And it was like, damn. And I was like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean too. Like some people, like they seem into it, but then they can't handle it when it's going on with somebody else. But that's just the nature of
Mhm.
the business, that especially when you're working with other people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people these days who kind of do their own solo content. And that's it.
Mhm.
But I feel like it's almost uh now that like the industry is becoming like and I say like the industry, but I'm more referring to like people doing it independently online. I should
Right,
say like
right.
the space is becoming so saturated with so many people doing it that you really
Hmm.
do need to almost kind of collab and network as much as you can
Yeah,
to at least get yourself out there, because it's like how
yeah.
the fuck are you gonna stand out from all the other people doing it?
Hmm. I feel like for me, what I do is very niche, so
Yeah,
uh, it's not so saturated, I guess, and it's easier to stand out a little more. And also for me, I don't really have to, since nothing I do is that explicit, I guess, like it's not traditional.
yeah,
Um, I'm not just having sex or just masturbating. Then
yeah,
it's um people haven't had a problem with it, like partners and people
yeah,
I've been with. Um, so I guess I don't know. I don't really have that experience. And as far as like people like friends and even family, people are mostly really supportive. So I have been fortunate with that. Like I am pretty open about it, like to everybody that I know, like about what I do, and nobody's haven't had anyone not want to talk to me. Oh my god, the only person that's really been negative about it was that last roommate. He said he didn't. I could just all he would
your
always make
previous
comments.
roommate.
Yes, the guy like that's why I moved. He was awful. He seemed cool before I moved in, but then yeah. So
That's weird.
I
So
know.
did you guys talk much like as roommates, or was it just kind of like a utilitarian like we're just roommates thing?
Yeah, that's kind of how it ended up. More, it was him and his wife, and then me and my ex
Okay.
boyfriend. So yeah, it was just too many people, not enough space, mm, very different kind of mindsets and outlook on the world. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but for me,
that's
like
sorry,
what?
go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I've had a good experience, like as far as people I know in person, like their attitudes towards me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
like I definitely get what you're saying. Like what you do isn't it isn't as explicit. So
Yeah.
it's not maybe viewed as the same way, but I've met some people who really are just so like anti anything pornographic or anything like that,
Hmm.
where even just the concept of like, like, oh, I'm doing this thing, but like I'm not um being super explicit on camera, like even the fact that it's supposed to be like a sexual thing, like some people are just so
Yeah, they are.
insanely puritanical about it, and
Uh-huh.
it's like I almost feel like it's kind of like telling on yourself for a lot of people, because it's like, why does it bother you so much? Like I feel like it's almost kind of like a projection
Hmm.
thing for some people. I don't know, I don't want to be like armchair psychologist too
Oh, I
much,
want to
but
know. What do you think? What do you think about it?
well, I think a lot of it, like people will say different things, like, oh, some of it goes back to like traditional upbringing in some cultures, or like
Hmm.
religious ideas that kind of come from like, um like very very ancient ideas about how people need to be socially, but like people can say a lot of different things, but I feel like at this point in time, especially if you're living in somewhere that has like easy access to like information, the internet, kind of like multicultural society where there's lots of different like perspectives, and you can have conversations like we're having now pretty
Hmm.
easily. Like there are some societies still where a lot of shit is like censored, and you kind of have to think
Yeah.
or talk a certain way to be socially accepted. But I think when you have the option to kind of look at all these different ideas and kind of see like, well, what do I really believe? Like, what really makes sense to me? Oh shit! Somebody's trying to call me. I thought I had this muted.
It's okay.
Um, I think when you're almost like given that option, a lot of people's hangups about sex or porn or whatever are almost kind of like these very emotional things, and I think for each individual person it's it's very, it can be very specific. Like
Hmm.
I think I may have made this joke before, but I was watching one of your streams you did with a model, and she mentioned like I always think this is like one of the funniest examples I've heard in like recent memory, where
Uh-huh.
somebody wanted her to make content with like a fake cast on her leg or something, and it's like, how do you
Oh
break?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you break down psychologically why that person is into like such a weirdly specific thing?
Yeah, there's so many very, very specific things like that I found out people are into. Yeah, and I don't know. It's like, how did they stumble upon this?
Yeah, well,
Be
I mean,
interesting.
I think a lot of stuff goes back to when people were very young. Like
Okay.
I think personally, and I'm not like a psychologist or anything at all. You know, like
Huh.
I went to college for audio engineering. That's my profession, or that's my credentials in terms of being
Hmm.
educated. You know, but from what I've heard, what I've seen from people who are much smarter than me, it seems like
Huh.
when you're a kid and your mind is still being molded,
Hmm.
things that have potential associations or things that just um, kind of things that stand out to you as a kid can potentially, you know, become things that you're either interested or obsessed with. And if you have the right like confluence of events potentially, or you know, wrong confluence of events, however you look at it,
Hmm.
it might develop into like a fetish later on. But it's like
Mm.
the human mind is so complex. It's like, how can we really trace back these things and know for sure that this caused this in somebody's mind?
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about, but just like
it is.
I was puzzling that the other day. I'm like maybe this guy had like a crush on a girl who like broke her
Ooh, broke him.
ankle,
Yeah, I don't know.
and then she was like, oh yeah, like maybe he was like really fixated on like signing this girl's like cast or something, and then when he did it he was like, that was like the first social thing where he's like, oh my god, I
That's
interacted with
like
a
his
girl.
first. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
that's
you know what I
weird.
mean,
I
like
mean,
maybe it was
yeah.
something like that. I don't know, it's
I
an
don't know.
interesting thing to think about for sure.
Yeah. I know everyone is unique in the world, like even
Yeah.
when it comes to their sexuality. If like no two people are exactly alike.
Yeah. Oh man, one thing too is it's always an interesting comparison, but um I don't feel like I deal with it as much up here living in Canada, but how have you seen like for example, have you seen like any have you gotten like any weird messages from people that are just like trying to preach to you or anything like that? Like on your front facing like social media pages?
Have yes, like
Yeah.
on Instagram.
They're just like,
Um,
You need to turn to God."
yeah, I have. It doesn't happen that much, or maybe I just
Yeah.
don't even pay attention to it that much anymore. But
Yeah.
definitely, I have. Oh my gosh, the funniest though is when I've had people like call me and we could talk about this. It's like,
What do you mean?
or
Like
like
people
tell
you
me
know personally, or
no. I'm sorry. Like people messaging me like God doesn't like what you're doing, but you should call me and we're gonna talk about this. They're like pretty much
what?
asking me out or asking me for video chats, but they want to talk to me about like God, but
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's really what they want to talk to me about. Like it's pretty funny.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I think that's their issues. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're feeling a little guilty or something.
Is that something that you've encountered in like your day to day with anybody that is like tangentially related to anybody that knows what you do? Because I've kind of encountered that when it's like for example, like I have to keep certain social media separate from other social media, not
Mhm.
because anybody I have on my social media is like in my family or cares about any of that shit or anything, but it's like if I'm associated with somebody and they're associated with somebody else, and these people
Mhm.
don't know that these people are doing like OnlyFans, it's like even if you have somebody else as like a friend, like people will go through and they'll creep other people's profiles, and it'll be like a relative of like somebody you're dating or like a
Yeah.
relative of like one of your friends. They're just like, what the fuck? Like this person does X thing, and then you're getting messages about it. And you're like, I don't even know these people. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really had experiences like that. I don't
Yeah,
think. Um, okay, so one thing I can kind of relate to as far as wanting to be like who you're associated with and caring about what they think and all that. Like my last job, I worked at a preschool as a preschool teacher, and I
yeah,
really didn't want any of this to come out while I was there because I didn't want it to reflect on the school or reflect on like if because I babysat kids too, so I didn't want it to reflect on their families. Um, so it's like I do understand all that, but then once I decided to quit doing that and just cut it out, now it's like I really don't care who knows or anything
yeah,
like that anymore.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, I know exactly what you mean. That's one thing that I've heard. A lot of people say it's always a few different things. It's always like people like, and it can happen really often where it's people who are really deep into doing, whether it's like traditional stuff working with companies, or they're doing stuff independently or whatever, where they still haven't told their families, and they are like working a day job still, some of them, and it's like holy
yeah,
shit, like
that's when it's kind of hard to.
it's like you're doing that like Peter Parker fucking shit where you're like living like a double life.
Yeah, it was
But
a Presbyterian school too, so
r-
I don't know how people would have felt about that. So yeah, I mean, I didn't get too into
yeah,
this, but like before I quit, but still.
no, I totally get what you mean. That's it's a pretty interesting scenario to be in.
Yeah.
Um, oh fuck, what was I just gonna say? I just thought of something funny when you said that, and it like
Oh man,
glitched in
Peter
my mind and just
Parker
made it go
something.
blank. Oh, oh man, I'm just like really high right now too, so I'm like, oh fuck, what was that thing I was gonna say?
Oh man.
I just really have to go to the bathroom. I'm
Oh,
gonna be
okay.
right back. I have the bladder of like a fucking, I don't even know, a very small person. Let's say that.
Little mouse.
Yeah,
Little
I'll be
mouse.
right back.
Okay. Okay, I don't know. I guess I should try to be entertaining. He's gone. Um, no. Let's see. Not many. Oh man. Alone.
All right, I'm back. Sorry to leave you hanging there. My bad.
It's okay.
I remember what I was gonna say though.
Okay, what was
Um,
it?
I was gonna say like it's always like the same few things that are hangups for people when they're getting into doing this type of stuff. It's like people have a job and they don't want it to interfere, and that's like one thing. But that's one thing is like usually like not as big as for some people. It's like I don't want my friends to know because they're gonna judge me. But it's usually that's like usually kind of in the same space as like the work thing. The biggest thing I find is like I don't want my parents to find out. I don't want my family to find out because they're gonna disown me
Yeah.
or whatever. It's like that is so. That is like what I hear constantly.
Yeah. Honestly, like I don't know if my dad knows or not, but because like since that there's the article that came out about me that got pretty popular, and I put my real name in it, so a lot of people, even that I hadn't heard from in years, were like, "Is this you?" So I don't know if maybe my dad saw the article and just didn't tell me anything. I don't think he would be. He would never like disown me or be that upset at me. To me, it's more like that's just a little awkward. Like I just don't really want to talk to my dad about that.
Yeah,
But
it's
but
same
my
for me. You
mom,
know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I'd rather not engage them on the subject.
yeah, really. Like my mom knows though, and so do my siblings. And my mom, she really doesn't care. Like they don't know. Everyone's supportive of me, so like that's
Yeah.
pretty cool that I have that. In fact, when I went to go visit my family a few like last month, I think, in LA, I got my mom to be lookout because I wanted to take some pictures on a balcony. It was like a shared balcony for her apartment complex. So I got her to look out so I could take pictures up there in my underwear, so she could tell me if people were coming or something. So
That's fucking
it's
awesome.
pretty funny. Yeah. So I thought it was more like to me that was more awkward for me than I think that it was for her. She like couldn't care less. So
Yeah, I think the only person that knows in my family is my brother, and like he just doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, whatever.
yeah,
I don't care.
yeah.
But
Uh,
I'm just trying to keep it on the DL from like other people in my family, mostly because like I don't want to be totally cut out of like everyone's like sh- excuse me, like shit. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
just
think they would.
I I cause I can't begin to gauge what their reaction will be because a lot of them are
Yeah.
like very I don't know what the term is, but like stoic British people. I'll say that very like
Okay.
you know what I
Hmm.
mean.
Interesting. Because I don't worry too much about any family or friends
Yeah, that's
disowning
most.
me or anything like that. So.
I don't even worry about it too much, but it's an interesting thing because it comes up with so often with the people I work with,
Hmm.
and it's weird because I'm only in my mid 20s, but I've worked with people who are older than me, some people in their early 30s, and I'll just be having a conversation with them, and they're like, "Yeah, I still kind of like keeping this on the DL for my parents," and I'm like, "Have you been doing this for like 10 years?" It's like still
Yeah.
understandable, but it's like it's just so funny because, and I've noticed this on set too, doing different sheets, but um, it's there's like people say like this generation, that generation. There's like clearly, if you go by like couple years here and there, like some generational divides, but I've noticed like sometimes like when you work with people that are even older than you,
Hmm.
it's very reminiscent of like and some I don't know if this is like leaning more towards like getting like boomerish as like some people get
Hmm.
older, because it's like we said before, like some people kind of like I don't know, get stale as they get older maybe.
Yeah, they do.
Like they don't want to like put in the effort to kind of like keep up with shit, so they're just kind of like
Yeah.
getting stagnant. And there's almost like this attitude where it almost like reverts back to like you feel like you're dealing with kids, or
Definitely.
you feel like you're back in high school or something. And I've noticed that too, and it's like I've worked with some people who are I've actually worked very often with people who are older than me, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about people that I've worked with, but it's very interesting sometimes being like the youngest person who you're working with, but
Hmm.
then it's like almost dealing with like
Oh.
some issues that it's like day one stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're trying to
Oh, okay.
actually do anything, like put anything together. And that's one thing that is really crazy with doing collaborative content that I've noticed. It's like
Hmm.
the more people you add into anything, the more problems that are going to arise.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
sometimes it can be hard enough trying to do one project, just you working with like one person, but then
Hmm.
trying to get like multiple other people in and then have like especially something be like a sustained project, like something that isn't just done in like one day.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's really difficult too. That's one of the reasons I stopped a while ago. Stopped doing kind of like I don't know how you would describe it other than like contrasting what I'm doing right now with being in a band because
Yeah.
I've like done the whole band thing, like being in a band when I was a lot younger,
Mhm.
and the biggest problem with that is having to deal with other people's bullshit.
Yeah, and
Like,
like staying on a practice schedule. I've known people in bands
well,
like that don't
the th-
last either very
the
long, or like switching bands and that kind of thing. So.
the problem is when you're trying to get like you even said like trying to just get people together for practice.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
just when nobody is uh doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that hinders you from just being able to do the most basic stuff. When you're working by yourself, you don't have to deal with that, but
Yeah.
you're also limited to what you're getting done just by yourself. So
Exactly.
that's something that is I've been getting really good at managing it, but it's like the death curtain that falls down when you're trying to do something, you know, when somebody's
Mhm.
just like all right, like you've got this project that you're trying to put together and it's you got multiple people on it and then somebody
Mhm.
pulls out or something like that and it's like okay, but then everything just comes crashing down.
Yeah, when people
And
are flaky and stuff.
yeah, yeah. I found a lot of content creators and I didn't think about it much before, but I realized why, especially why they do it now.
Mhm.
um Not announcing anything before, you know, not just like everything is set in stone, but like
Mhm.
I know content creators and there's some who I will watch content from where they'll collab with somebody or they'll get together and do like a kind of like big project with like some people, or they'll get like a cameo in one of their, you know, projects or something,
Mhm.
and they won't even talk about it or announce it until it's literally like done, filmed, edited,
Yeah. Yeah,
released.
I get
And I
that. Mhm.
totally understand that at this point because like there's always been such an impulse with me for a while to be like telling everybody like, yo, I'm gonna do this, like, and I think at this point like I just have to stop doing that because it always comes back to bite you in the ass at some point.
Yeah,
Like,
because everybody's so flaky and oh,
yeah,
even I am. I am too. Because like I
yeah,
was gonna be on here yesterday and then I
yeah.
canceled like at the
Well,
last minute.
that
Sorry, but
no, you don't even need to apologize, and that's why like you know, I know definitely that not everyone reacts in that situation like I did,
yeah.
but that's why I am the way that I am like that.
Hmm.
Because when you said, you know, like you can be flaky too, I can be flaky too, like I'm totally the
Yeah.
same. Like there's so many times over the last like week and a half where I've scheduled a stream and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it at this time, but since I'm at home not working right now, I'm
Uh-huh.
doing like I'm doing shit around the house. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna schedule a stream, do it at this time, and then something fun comes up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna delay the stream by 15 minutes, and then like something comes up,
Yeah.
and it's really frustrating too because this never happens, but the last few nights, couple nights this week, the internet went out right when I was trying to stream, and it went
Oh
out
yeah.
twice, 2 nights in a row, and it
Uh-huh.
went out from like 10 p.m. to like probably, I don't know, like yeah, 6 or 8 in the morning. So it was out
Oh,
for
that
like a
sucks.
long ass time,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "What the fuck? Like this is insane." But
Hmm.
that delayed a couple streams I was doing like multiple times, and I put out like this thing probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set out like this new streaming schedule because I'm not like I quit my job. I'm just like streaming now, doing
Yeah.
like a lot more online content, more often, more consistent. And I'm kind of thinking like, do I really like want to do a schedule like that? Because I do want people to know like, hey, I'm gonna be streaming at this time, stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it's almost like with the nature of doing something like this, you almost want to give yourself more flexibility to kind of just do it whenever you want.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's like
I don't
almost a
know.
battle sometimes because I'm like, oh, I want to announce this. I'm doing this collaboration with somebody, and it's like you said, like somebody pulls out, and you're like, fuck. So at this point, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just want to do my projects when I do them, and like try not to
Uh-huh.
hype them up too much before.
Yeah. I don't know. That's like one of the challenges, I guess, when you're working for yourself like this is to keep yourself on a schedule and being consistent. Um, but I feel like, yeah, having a schedule is helpful for people that are following you to know when to check you out.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Then it
That's
sucks to have to keep to it.
yeah, yeah. It's not even it's not even I don't even feel like oh fuck like I hate that I have to keep the schedule, but it's just like for example, the other night I scheduled something and I went back and I looked at it, and for some reason it didn't save the right time. So I'm
Okay.
just like, yeah, it like it's set the, and I know that I had set the right time because I'm like very careful with setting stuff. So I
Mhm.
came back and it set it for like the previous day or something. There was like this weird thing going on.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, even though I went back and changed it before so that the setting, because I want people to see that like the settings changed. But
Okay.
I don't know, and especially when you don't have like a huge audience, it's like, is there like should I be scheduling stuff like this far in advance? Like, is there really a point?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to gauge shit sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it's really frustrating too, just using YouTube as a platform because everyone knows like YouTube doesn't notify people when their subscribers post videos properly. Like sometimes it will, then YouTube just like unsubscribes people randomly, and it's like
Yeah.
fuck. As a content
They
creator, you're just
do?
like, what am I doing? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it happens. It happens pretty fucking often from what I've heard, and I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it's
I didn't
happened
even
to
know
me once or
that.
twice. Yeah, like, and it's weird because it almost it almost has you like gaslighting yourself because you're like, did I unsubscribe from
Yeah.
this person? Like, did I accidentally hit unsubscribe? Like,
Uh-huh.
did I intentionally unsubscribe? But you know that you want to watch this person's video, so you subscribe again.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of sitting there like what the fuck's going on? It's
What?
like if you
That's
walked into your
weird.
house and like your furniture was moved, you're just like
Yeah.
kind of like what the fuck is going on?
That's
Like
messed up.
nothing's missing, but something's out of
Huh.
place. You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Anyways, we're pretty much approaching an hour now. So
Okay.
yeah, if you want to like plug anything, you can go right ahead. Give you the
Um.
opportunity.
Okay. Well, I'm Devi Thick, and I guess. I mean, you can find me by that name on anywhere. My Instagram, and I have OnlyFans. I'm on curvage.org. Yeah, I guess that's it. Check me out on there. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, go subscribe to Devi's channel on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube too.
100%.
So,
Well, thanks for coming on, and
thank you for having me.
no problem, no problem. It was a great conversation like last time.
Yeah, yeah, had fun talking to you.
Thanks, same. All right, you guys have a good night, and we'll see y'all later.